Hare Krishna. Thank you, Pawan Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll continue with our prayer of the week. This is Sakhi Vrinda Vikyapti song from Prarthana by Shri Narottam Das Thakur. Anybody would like to try singing this prayer today? What's the link here? Radha Krishna Pranamura. Shamakarna Mataji, would you like to sing?
Yes, Prabhuji. I will. I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can guide us and inspire
Oh,
us.
no, Mataji, no problem. Not take.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा जीवाने मरणे गति और नाही मोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा कालिंदी रकुले केली कदम्बे रवाना रथना भिदारो पारबो सबदो जाना श्याम गौरी अंगे दिबो चंदनेर गंधा चामर दुलाभो कबे हेरी मुख चंद्र गतिया मला तीर्मला दिबो दोहर गले अधर तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तांबूले ललिता विशाखा आदि जट सखी वृंदा आज्ञाया कुरीबो शिवा चरणारविंदा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासरानुदासा सेवा अभिलाषा कुरे नरोत्तम दासा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा जुगला किशोरा. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. This is one of my favorite songs, Prabhuji. So beautiful. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So wonderfully you sang. You transported us to Vrindavan, the center of the spiritual world, like Prabhupada was saying yesterday. Okay. Shri Narottam Das Thakur ki jai. Harve Shamakarna Mataji ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, anybody would like to read the translation? If not, then...
If not,
Mataji.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you can read, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The divine couple, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, is my life and soul in life or death. I have no other refugee but them. In a forest of small Kadamba trees on the bank of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste scented with shua. and I will fan them with a chamara whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moon-like faces? After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths. With the permission of all the Sakis headed by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Narottama Dasa, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. Yeah, so this wonderful prayer written by, composed by Shri Narottam Das Thakur, is the disciple of Shri Lokanath Goswami. He is also one of the foremost Goswamis of Vrindavan. And yeah, like we were saying, Shri Rupa Goswami, who's the foremost disciple of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yesterday Prabhupada was talking about the center of this, the hub of the spiritual wheel, right? So like in the spiritual world, we have the topmost planet, which is Golok Vrindavan, and Radha and Krishna and their associates are in the center of the whirl of the lotus flower. So like that, so that is the center of the spiritual world. So like that, we are going to continue here. So even though Narottam Das Thakur came later, but yeah, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, he was one of the very dear associates and servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yeah, it was almost like when we are saying this prayer, we are with all these Goswamis and all these personal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and with Shri Radha Krishna in the center of the spiritual world when we sing these transcendental songs, bhajans. So yes, yesterday we're continuing on chapter 37, which is The Land is Yours. So earlier in the chapter, we had seen Prabhupada had been blessed by the Lord with land in Mayapur. And yesterday we were reading Prabhupada is now blessed with land in Vrindavan Dham. So both the with places where he wanted to build beautiful temples for the Lord. You know, he has got the land by the Lord's mercy. And like he was so nicely welcomed by all the Brajavasis. And this also shows how, we say, I've heard Acharyas say that, the appearance of Vaishnavas is certainly auspicious, but the disappearance is even more wonderfully auspicious. So why is that? We could see this from this example yesterday when Prabhupada went to Vrindavan. It was like he disappeared from America or he disappeared from the cities where he was. But when he reached Vrindavan, that's when the Acharyas go back to the spiritual world after performing their leelas here, after performing their services here on this mortal world, how they are welcomed back in the land of Raja. So how nicely, gracefully, he was welcomed by the Brajavasis, and it was like homecoming for him. And he was in Radha Damodar temple, spending 24 hours there with his disciples, teaching them, showing them how he used to live there. That is where all his journey began, and that is where he called. He told Yamuna Mataji that this is go and chant when she came in the morning before the Mangalarti, while he was concerned about his spiritual daughter. But at the same time, he was so glad that she came and she was chanting. And then he asked her to go and chant near Shri Rupa Goswami Samadhi. And he told that is the hub of the spiritual wheel of the spiritual world. So that's like that. So when we also go to Radha Damodar temple, we should sit and chant near the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami, where Srila Prabhupada used to observe or pray to Sri Rupa Goswami from his kitchen, where he used to sit and honor prasadam. Okay, and then we also saw a wonderful pastime of Sri Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who met Prabhupada for a second time after his initial Bombay visit, where he saw Prabhupada, but now he was fully convinced, and Prabhupada kind of stood there 5-10 seconds, giving him his audience when he bowed down, and he didn't even know he was just bowing down to Prabhupada because he had been so attracted and fascinated by Srila Prabhupada and the singing of Jai Radha Madhav. But when he looked up, Prabhupada was standing there, and he told him, "Oh, you like here in Vrindavan?" And Maharaj says, "Yes, He says, wow, okay, this is the most wonderful place to be in. So that answered all of Maharaj's question. So, okay, so we'll continue. I think Radhanath Maharaj is still speaking here. When Prabhupada left, the devotees told me that I should join and go on parikrama with them all around India. And they said that Prabhupada had personally invited me to come. I was unbelievably appreciative that Prabhupada was so merciful, but at the same time, I was very attached to Vrindavan. I told them I just wanted to stay here, and if they ever came back, I would serve Srila Prabhupada here, but that I didn't want to leave Vrindavan. Soon after that, my visa expired, so I had to leave the country. But before I left, the people of Vrindavan, especially the Babajis, were telling me that Swami Bhaktivedanta had established New Vrindavan in the West. They said, if you have to leave Vrindavan, you should go to New Vrindavan. So whatever you do, don't leave Vrindavan. New Vrindavan and Old Vrindavan are the same because Swami Bhaktivedanta has created Vrindavan in the West. They said it with great pride. So I left for New Vrindavan. Prabhupada trained his disciples in the etiquette of living in Vrindavan Dham. In the holy dham, he said, if one of my disciples drinks from a jug incorrectly and he contaminates that jug, everyone will notice it. Don't be criticized for this uncleanliness, or I will be criticized. It is the duty of the disciple to follow these etiquette habits very austerely. I'm putting so much energy into this party in India because I want to train you how to live here. Prabhupada wrote his disciples in the West of a successful tour of Vrindavan. I'm currently in Vrindavan with a party of 40 devotees, and we are having daily parikrama of the holy places. We shall return to Delhi tomorrow by coach. The officials and residents of Vrindavan have greeted us very nicely, and they are simply astounded to see our Sankirtan party chanting with great jubilation through the city streets. The mayor has publicly proclaimed that I have done something wonderful, and practically speaking, they realize that before I went to the Western countries, no one there knew about Vrindavan. Now, hundreds of visitors and hippies from your country come here to see Krishna's place. The Vrindavan devotees have understood that Vrindavan is now world famous due to my preaching work. So, they are all very much appreciating their hometown, Swamiji. Delhi, December 1st, 1971. Upon his return to Delhi, Srila Prabhupada, along with the 40 disciples who had accompanied him to Vrindavan, stayed at the Birla Mandir. The host offered Prabhupada a small house reserved for special guests in the back of the formal gardens. Meanwhile, political turmoil continued to trouble the nation's capital. As the threat of an all out war between India and Pakistan increased, even peaceful Vrindavan had been disturbed, being only 90 miles from Delhi and 34 miles from Agra with its large military installation. One night, while Srila Prabhupada had been staying at Saraf Bhavan, the local authorities had ordered a blackout. Srila Prabhupada and the devotees had been confined to their quarters. The electricity had gone off, and everyone had covered their windows with blankets so that even the candlelight could not be detected. Nevertheless, despite political agitation and threats of war, Prabhupada had now come to Delhi to preach. On his second day in the city, he visited the American ambassador to India, Kenneth Keating, at the American embassy. Srila Prabhupada explained to Mr. Keating the basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the distinction between the material body and the self, or soul, living within the body. You have got this striped coat, he told Mr. Keating, but I cannot address you, Mr. Striped Coat. Yet, we are actually being addressed like that. We are identifying with this body. And Prabhupada explained the soul's transmigration through the 8.4 million species. That is very interesting, Mr. Keating commented. I believe in the transmigration of the soul. It is a fact, Prabhupada said. Just like this child is transmigrating from one body to another, he indicated Saraswati. In the same way, when I give up this body, I will transmigrate to another body. This is a science. I see the American boys and girls, although coming from very rich and respectable families, are turning to hippies. In spite of your arrangement for very big universities, they are becoming frustrated. They are no longer satisfied to live in material opulence. So, the present position of human society is dangerous because everyone is feeling dissatisfied and confused. Do you have many Indian followers as well as foreigners? Mr. Keating inquired. Yes, so far as Indians are concerned, everyone accepts Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, Mr. Keating added, I'm very impressed with the sincerity of these young American men. Everyone, said Srila Prabhupada, as soon as he understands the science of Krishna consciousness, will accept it immediately. When Swami Rajanandaji was here, said Mr. Keating, I asked him his definition of God, and he thought a minute and he said, well, I would say God is the thread which links one good person to another. I thought that was a very interesting definition. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said. Just like you have a pearl necklace and it is strung on a thread, so all the pearls are resting on that thread. Everyone is resting in God. Not that only good men should be resting on that thread. The definition given by the Vedanta Sutra is perfect. Janmadhyasya yataha. God is the origin or source of everything. What do you say? I'm very impressed, Mr. Keating replied. Another definition of God, Prabhupada continued, is that he is all attractive. Everyone has the attractive features of opulence, strength, fame, beauty, renunciation, and wisdom to some extent. You are an ambassador, a representative of your country. So you are attractive. Sometimes somebody comes to me. Let me see the Swamiji. So this attractiveness everyone possesses. But God means he who has got all attractiveness in full. After some time, Ambassador Keating apologized and excused himself for an appointment he had to keep. I'm an ambassador and I have to move from the sublime to the mundane. I appreciate very much your coming, Srila Prabhupada. Now, I'm also coming to the mundane point of view. Next time I come back to the USA, I wish to see the president. I can write a letter, Mr. Keating offered. I will be glad to help you. Prabhupada smiled. You are busy helping the whole world so that peace may come and people may be happy. But instead of being happy, the people of your country are becoming hippies. There is some defect. And here is a chance to rectify the defect Krishna consciousness. So let us do something tangible, scientific, so that people will become happy. That evening, Prabhupada wrote one of his disciples about the meeting. You may be pleased to know that this morning I met here in Delhi with your American ambassador to India, Mr. Kenneth Keating. He has got very good respect for our movement, and he has promised to help me to arrange a meeting with your president when I shall return to your country, perhaps in the late spring. I have requested him to help this movement, and that help will save your country from great danger by turning hippies into happies. Let us see what can be done. The next day, while Prabhupada was on his morning walk in the streets of Delhi, he asked a devotee to get a paper from a newsboy passing by on a bicycle. Prabhupada read the headlines. Emergency declared. 3 enemy planes downed. He had a devotee read aloud. Pakistan launched a massive attack on the Western Front, bombing 7 Indian airfields and crossing the ceasefire line in strength in Poonch. The Prime Minister, in a broadcast late tonight, described it as a full-scale war launched by Pakistan against India. Earlier, the President had declared national emergency. The national emergency had international implications, with America cutting off supplies to India and supporting Pakistan, China threatening India, and Russia supporting India. This war will not last long, Srila Prabhupada said immediately. It will soon be finished, and Pakistan will lose. Later that night, he heard Indira Gandhi's broadcast over the radio. I speak to you at a moment of great peril to our country and our people. Today, a war in Bangladesh has become a war on India. This imposes on me, my government, and the people of India a great responsibility. We have no other option but to put our country on a war footing. Prabhupada was not alarmed. War was not the only ugly reality. Birth, death, old age, disease, and so many other material sufferings were inevitable, war or no war. Prabhupada continued to follow the news, however, and some days Shamsundar would purchase for him 3 or 4 different newspapers. After a few days at the Birla Mandir, Prabhupada and his party moved to a dharmashala in the Kamala Nagar district of Old Delhi. There, Prabhupada delivered what the devotees later referred to as the blackout lectures. While black painted newspapers and blankets covered the windows and combat jets flew overhead, Prabhupada would speak by candlelight to his disciples. The propensity to fight is very strong in this age of Kali, he said, and the population is becoming so sinful that they are trying to accumulate atomic weaponry for ultimate destruction of humanity. Sometimes Prabhupada would ask a disciple to speak to the group also. No guests were present, since during blackouts no one could walk the streets, and on some nights the police pounded on the door demanding the devotees extinguish even their candles. Due to the war in India, Prabhupada wrote in a letter, our programs here have been reduced and there is every night a blackout. Not only in Delhi but in other parts of India, his disciples were encountering difficulties in their preaching attempts. In Mayapur, the government had ordered the devotees to leave the area because of its close proximity to Bangladesh. As Prabhupada had predicted, however, the war did not last long. On December 17th, Prabhupada read the headlines of the Indian Express. Niazi surrenders. Bangladesh is free. India decides on unilateral ceasefire in West. Prabhupada was joyous. He told the devotees confidentially that the reason the war had ended so quickly was because of their massive Sankirtan Yagya at the Pandal a month earlier. On the very same page that had announced India's victory, however, another headline read, PM blames USA for war. Indira Gandhi was blaming President Nixon for the war. The American devotees tensed as they walked the streets, sensing the Indians' mistrust, and daily newspaper propaganda only worsened the condition. There is great propaganda now against America in India, Prabhupada wrote, due to the country's stand against India and the war with Pakistan. Delhi was the seat of much political agitation, and Prabhupada decided to relocate the devotees who were there with him. Although his disciples were peaceful and far from being politically active, he sent some to Calcutta while others accompanied him to Bombay. International politics would not stop the oncoming wave of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Haribo. Okay, so we'll continue chapter 38. No one listens to a poor man. From 1965 until 1970, Srila Prabhupada had concentrated mainly on re-establishing Krishna consciousness in America. His plan had been that if the Americans turned to Krishna consciousness, the rest of the world would follow. Although his preaching to the English-speaking people had begun in India, some 60 years of single-handed endeavor there had convinced him that Indians were either too absorbed in politics, too ignorant of their spiritual heritage, or too crippled by poverty to seriously accept Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he had not been successful. But in the United States, success had come. Clearly, America was the prime field for implanting Krishna consciousness. Yet, Srila Prabhupada found the West uncultured and uncivilized. If a trace of civilization remained anywhere, he would often say it was in India, the heart of the original Vedic culture. By 1970, he had demonstrated through his extensive traveling and preaching that he intended to establish the Krishna consciousness movement not only in the US, but all over the world, especially in India. Even accepting that preaching in the United States and preaching in India were equally important, still the preaching in the United States was going well without Prabhupada's constant direct management. What he had begun, his American disciples could continue. But in India, Prabhupada could not allow his disciples to manage ISKCON. He saw how often and how easily the Indians were able to cheat his disciples. Half of ISKCON's work in India was being spoiled, he said, due to his disciples being cheated. If they put on a Pandal program, they might end up paying several times the standard cost. The only way for ISKCON to develop in India would be under Prabhupada's direct management. Beginning in 1970, with a small band of American disciples, Prabhupada had traveled from place to place in India as a model sannyasi, opening a great new field for ISKCON. Now he wanted to construct big temples in India, three in particular, one in Vrindavan, one in Mayapur, and one in Bombay. As early as 1967, he had attempted to make an American house for his disciples in Vrindavan. Mayapur, being the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, was especially important, and Bombay was India's major city, the gateway to India. As with most of Prabhupada's big plans, even his closest disciples couldn't fully comprehend the scope of his vision. But Prabhupada knew what he wanted, and he knew it all depended on Krishna. Gradually, he began to unfold his plans. Temple construction, he said, was secondary to book publication and distribution. But Krishna consciousness must run on two parallel lines, just as a train runs on two rails. One rail was Bhagavata Marg, the other Pancharatrika Vidhi. Bhagavata Marg referred to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting about Krishna and disseminating the message of Krishna. The second rail, Pancharatrika Vidhi, referred to the rules and regulations for worshipping the deity in the temple. Of the two, Bhagavata Marg was the more important. Although great liberated souls like Haridas Thakur could remain in perfect Krishna consciousness simply by chanting Hare Krishna constantly, Prabhupada knew that his disciples, with their restless natures and past sinful habits, needed the special purification of worshipping the Lord in the temple. Therefore, one of his reasons for wanting to establish temples in India was to purify his disciples by giving them elaborate deity worship. Temples, however, were also for preaching. No one listens to a poor man, Prabhupada would say, and he therefore wanted to construct palatial buildings to attract the masses to Krishna consciousness. Especially, he wanted this in India, where the tradition of temple worship still existed. Building temples and worshipping the deity was secondary to publishing and distributing books, but it was not to be neglected. Prabhupada prepared to give temple construction in Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Bombay as much of his attention as necessary. Bombay, November 1971. For a year, the devotees had been living at the Akash Ganga address, two apartments on the seventh floor of a building in the heart of Bombay. But Prabhupada was not satisfied with this. He wanted land in Bombay to build on and to expand. He was determined. Instead of his usual morning walks, he would take long rides in his car to observe various parts of the city. Because many of the ISKCON life members lived in aristocratic Malabar Hill, Prabhupada's disciples thought it a good place for a temple. On several occasions, Prabhupada rode to the top of the Malabar Hill and walked around various properties, considering certain large buildings as possible temples. But for one reason or another, he judged them all unacceptable. Then in November, a Mr. N offered to sell ISKCON 5 acres in Juhu, practically on the shore of the Arabian Sea. As soon as Srila Prabhupada approached the land, he remembered having seen and considered it years before. In August of 1965, during the weeks just before he had left for America, he had been staying at Scindia Colony. In the evenings, he had gone to the home of Scindia Steamship Company owner, Mrs. Sumati Morarji, in Juhu, where he had read and explained Srimad Bhagavatam for her and her guests. Several times he had passed this very property and had thought what a good location it would be for an ashrama and a Radhakrishna temple. Although his attention had been absorbed in the task of leaving India, he had still considered the Juhu land. Now he was again in Juhu, considering the same land he had noticed years before. He took it as a reminder from Sri Krishna. The land was overgrown with tall grasses and bushes, and many coconut palms stood throughout. In the back of the property were several tenement buildings. The land bordered on Juhu Road, the main traffic artery back to Bombay, 18 miles to the south. A broad expanse of beach on the Arabian Sea was a brief walk away. The location was good, peaceful yet not remote. Several five-star hotels bordered the nearby beach, and developers were beginning work on other hotels and apartment buildings. When Prabhupada walked along the beach, he liked even more the idea of buying the land. Rich men had weekend homes on the beach, and thousands of Bombayites would be out enjoying the beach on Sundays. Daily, hundreds of Juhu residents used the long, broad seashore for morning walks before going to work. Almost always, people were strolling or gathering there, and yet the beach was clean. The mild waves and open skies were inviting. The locale was ideal not only for hotels but for a Krishna conscious center. Prabhupada wanted the Juhu land, and although his disciples continued to show him houses in Malabar Hill, he didn't change his mind. His disciples wanted whatever he wanted. Yet they had trouble developing enthusiasm for a property so far from the city and with no available housing or temple facility. Mr. N, the owner of the 5 acre plot, had set a reasonable price and seemed friendly and sincere. Yet, risks were involved in such transactions, and in this case, Prabhupada even found reasons for suspicion. Through his lawyer, he learned that Mr. N had previously entered into an agreement to sell the same land to the C Company, but had later cancelled the agreement. The C Company had then filed a suit against Mr. N for breach of contract. If the Bombay High Court decided in the C Company's favor, the land would be awarded to them. When Prabhupada's secretary questioned Mr. N about this entanglement, Mr. N assured him the C Company could not win the suit, but that in any case, ISKCON could withhold a certain portion of the payment until the litigation with C was settled. Mr. N was a well-known figure in Bombay, formerly the Sheriff of Bombay, an honorary judicial police position. He was now publisher editor of one of the largest daily English newspapers in Bombay. He was wealthy, owning several properties in Juhu and Bombay, and influential. Not a man one would want to oppose. To purchase the Juhu land under the present circumstances required boldness. In late December, Prabhupada met with Mr. and Mrs. N at their home in the Theosophical Colony in Juhu. Mr. N's home was on the beach, and thus the visit afforded Prabhupada another opportunity to appreciate the value and beauty of Juhu Beach, with its border of palms leaning toward the sea. The Theosophical Colony was a private neighborhood of attractive homes with luxuriant lawns and flower gardens and many exotic birds. Ashoka trees grew on either side of Mr. N's driveway, and a line of palm trees standing just inside the massive stone wall encircled the property. A gardener opened the gate for Prabhupada and the few disciples with him. Okay, so we'll pause here for today. Yes, Prabhupada is moving from Vrindavan to back to Delhi and now to Bombay. All the places where he wanted to build temples for Krishna. And in Delhi, like we saw again, Prabhupada, how he could how his vision, he could with his vision, spiritual vision, he could see about the war, that the war will end very soon and that Pakistan will lose. And he's all of that, was because of his firm faith and belief in what they were doing there, the Sankirtan Yajna that they were carrying out in Delhi, not just Delhi, but all over the country, in small towns and villages. So Prabhupada had firm faith that because of that, purity will prevail, and eventually India will be victorious. So that was a good reminder again of how this one thing is the panacea, is the solution for everything, all the problems, like Prabhupada explaining to Mr. Keating. the ambassador from USA that this is the solution for all problems. This allows us to get above the material problems that everybody is facing in the world. Even though America is rich and um, all conditions, all facilities are available to everybody, yet the young people of America are turning into hippies. But by accepting this Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Krishna consciousness movement, just by chanting and hearing and feasting, prashadam, holding Sankirtan, all these hippies are turning into happies. So there's practical proof that he's giving to the ambassador. And he's also asking him, as he says, I'm now moving to a mundane thing. He says, okay, I also want appointment with your president. So nice. And that reminded also of Radhanath Swami Maharaj when he met uh, Obama as the president of America. So like that, Prabhupada had planted the seed, like Radhanath Maharaj was remembering yesterday. Prabhupada had planted the seed in his heart, deep in his heart, and he had accepted Srila Prabhupada as his Guru Maharaj. Okay, anything else? Anybody would like to share? Anything you liked? Anything you loved from today's reading?
May I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Mataji. Devika
Um,
Mataji? Yeah.
Gee, when we were reading the poem and the explanation of the song, there was something mentioned about the sandalwood paste, Kyle or something. What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean?
It may be a fragrant. I'd have to check that, Mataji. I think you're asking about this prayer, right? That we sang in the first.
G. Yeah,
Yeah,
the second line
this one.
had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I don't exactly know, but it may be something like, like when you say rose, like when we sent anything with rose water when we offer to the Lord, something like that. So this is like the sandalwood paste itself is of course fragrant, but scented with, so it's more, it's like a thing that is used to scent the sandalwood paste. So
Is it lime thing paste they'll put, Prabhuji? They'll call
what is that,
chuna.
Mataji?
That chuna they will call it as.
Chun, you're saying, okay.
Yeah, they'll apply that one to make it. I mean, when they chew it, it becomes reddish, the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that, okay.
Is it not?
Chun.
I think so. वो चूना लगाते हैं ना उनके
G.
उसके ऊपर. Yeah, I think that one was. I mean, it is scented. That one will be sent, but I'm not sure, Prabhuji. I'm not sure.
That's a good
Thank
question.
you.
So we will research this, Mataji. Homework for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anything else you have to ask? Anybody else would like to share anything that you liked? Any take-home points for you personally from today's reading or from the reading in general so far?
I like that one Prabhuji that Prabhupada was so determined to see all the presidents and the head of the what you call the administration. So in that aspect, when the person who is the head, if he meets them, if he is influenced and if he is attracted to this Krishna consciousness, so many things will happen. So he will get permission, and because it plays even now also, if one of the famous person is very interested in the cultural aspect or in the philosophy. So the whole community or the whole place would be, it'd be pleased with these things. So that one I liked it very much. Prabhuji was very determined to meet even the president. That was the one thing which I really liked it. So in this aspect, he could spread Krishna consciousness everywhere throughout the world. That was his main intention.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was saying that Keating was saying that definition, right? Everybody is connected on the thread of God. So like Prabhupada was explaining to him, right, that yes, all of us are resting on God. So Actually, in Prabhupada's movie, his disciples call him like when Prabhupada spoke, they felt it was like the prime minister of the galaxy who was speaking, right? So Prabhupada was the prime minister of the galaxy. So he certainly wanted to meet the president of this, small country, a small, tiny piece of land on this planet of Earth. But yeah, like you rightly said, I mean, everything Prabhupada did was based on scriptures, right? And Krishna says that, so whatever influential people of the world do, the righteous people do, then the common people will follow. So that was his mode, of course. Everything that he did, everything that he said, everything that he spoke, or everything as he acted was all based on scriptures, Shastra. So yeah, thank you, Mataji. Okay, anybody else? Any other thoughts? Right, if not, then we'll wrap up
Yeah,
here for
only
today.
one thing
Yes.
I can say,
Yes, sir.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhupada.
Prabhupada is connecting everything, whatever is happening, either war or any personal activity or national agenda, whatever, but he always tags Krishna. Krishna is the origin. That is the good thing that we have to learn. So anything we have in a profession or for a nation, whatever we are doing, right? The origin is Krishna. So that we need to tag everywhere. Then our mood will always into the, devotional side always.
Yes, that's right, Prabhu. That is the quality of pure devotees, that they tie everything back to Krishna, right? Because ultimately everything is Krishna, right? Like Prahlad Maharaj would see the Lord everywhere, right? In water, in sky, in trees. So pure devotees can see the hand of the Lord in every situation. And again, that vision um, is what Prabhupada is trying to impart to his disciples by his association, physical and through his Vani. Like we were reading, like Prabhupada, even though he came back from America, now his American disciples were carrying on the movement in America, right, without much intervention from Prabhupada. So he had given them that transcendental service, and since they were sincerely dedicated to his instructions, they were able to carry it out. So again, they were able to feel the presence of Srila Prabhupada every day, right? And Prabhupada was also corresponding with them, like we see, like he was in Vrindavan, he's going on these tours, but he's taking the time to connect to his disciples. He's writing to them, oh, we had this tour of Vrindavan. Oh, I met your High Commissioner here, right? So how thoughtful and how connected he himself was, right, to each of his disciple, each of his center around the world. So that shows, like how much care, compassion. That is why we say, the ocean of mercy. He was an ocean of mercy, and that care and compassion we can see from his small gestures, that he was taking the time to correspond to all his disciples across the world also. Yeah. So that is the connection that you're talking about. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All right, so we'll pause here for today. Thank you all for your wonderfully enlivening, enchanting association, as always. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय, जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद लीलामृत की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा।
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.